I just received a shipment from cheapgraphicnovels.com of some collected editions that I ordered, and I figured, let's open them together. Check it out. Hey everyone, and welcome to my channel. My name's Chris, and this is Northgarden Comics. I have said on multiple occasions, and I'm going to say it again today, that I absolutely love the Transformers. That is the franchise that got me into collecting back when I was a kid of like 12, 13 years old. I love the cartoon, I love the animated movie, I absolutely love the toys, and then I got into comic books, and Transformers was what got me into comic book collecting to begin with. And so from there, I read the Marvel era of Transformers comics in the 80s and 90s. I then read the Dreamwave era of comics in the early 2000s, and then I picked up with IDW's version of the Transformers when they started, many years ago now, and continue to collect those today. Now, most of what I've collected and what I have in my collection from all those years of comic book collecting are the single issues. And it's been only recently, the last year plus, that I've started to really be attracted to and want to add to my collection the collected editions. And so far, I've only found collected editions of the IDW era of Transformers. I would love to find the Marvel Transformers comics, US or UK, in like omnibus editions. I don't know if those exist. I haven't seen them. If you know something about those, let me know down below, but really hoping to get those at some point. But so far, my collecting of the hardcovers has been limited to the IDW era of Transformers, and that is what I got today in that shipment from cheapgraphicnovels.com. And in just a minute, we are going to turn the camera around. We'll do the unboxing together, but before I do that, let me pause and say, if you are new to the channel, first of all, welcome. Thank you so much for clicking on this video and giving the channel a try. If you like comic and comic related content, mostly I do, back issue comic hauls and new comic hauls, and then occasionally, like today, some of these Transformers collected editions, and sometimes a couple other omnibus. But if you like any of that kind of stuff, then please take just a second, hit that subscribe button. And then for all of you, if you see something that you like, give it a thumbs up. And please let me know your thoughts and questions down below. Well, now let's go ahead and shift gears and get to this unboxing. Now, here's the box itself. You can see it's pretty tall and pretty dense, so we'll see what kind of packing materials in here. I've only ordered from Cheap Graphic Novels just 2 or 3 times, so don't remember offhand exactly what the packing is like inside here, but we're gonna find out. So we got a lot of packing paper on top. We got packing paper on top, we got packing paper all around the sides, and then it looks like we got a nice buffer. I'll give them that for sure. Or if this got, dropped, you can tell that you get a little bit of corner crushing on this overpack box anytime anyway. Definitely well insulated on all sides. Let's go ahead and just see if we can lift this out, and then that's a solid inch or so material on the bottom of the box too. So yeah, well packed, well insulated for safety during shipment. Now I'm going to go ahead and just take this bag off, and then we'll lay these out here. So you can see I've got 5 of these all together. This is the first 5 volumes of Phase 1 of the IDW collection. They also did a Phase 2 that had, well, let me pause and say Phase 1 had a total of 8 volumes. Phase 2 has a total of 12 volumes, and right now it's available for pre-order. Phase 3 Volume 1 is available, and from start to finish, this presents the IDW collection of Transformers comics in reading order. So if you collected the single issues, this will collect them in each volume in reading order. So it intersperses the different spotlights, the mini series, all of those kind of good things. So that's one of the advantages
of a collected edition is when you can get this in reading order. At the same time, I will say, you know, if you're hesitant about collected editions, that's okay too, because you can go online and look up the reading order of just about anything, including this. So, you know, in a day and age of internet resources, there's definitely no shortage. So don't feel like you have to get the collected editions to get the reading order. If you've got the single issues, you can figure that out on your own. But it is one of the benefits when they bind these together. So let's go ahead. I'm going to clear this off and we'll look at these one at a time and just give you some highlights. First up here, we have Volume 1 of the Phase 1 of Transformers IDW collection. We're not going to look at every element of every volume that I got, just going to highlight some of the things that are just about the series in general and about each of the specific volumes, and then we'll do a quick little flip through so you can see some of the art. First thing that drew me to these collected editions to begin with, or any collected editions for that matter, is just a really attractive hardcover presentation. Looks real nice on the shelf. It's almost like it's a piece of art, and you know, spruces up your comic book collecting room just by being there on the shelf, and obviously is far more attractive than single issues sitting in a short box. So nice to get these out of the box, get them on the shelf, but then you get this nice cover art. For Phase 1, all of the cover art is done by E.J. Sue, and so on the front you get kind of this bust headshot kind of a look, and then flip it over here on the back. You don't get a complete image, you just get kind of a partial image. I think each of them show kind of like the arm with their weapon of choice. In this case, it's Megatron. And then just to show you the side there as well, you got the volume number, the title, and then of course IDW as the publisher. And Phase 1, I believe the sides all match, at least the 5 that I got so far do. Phase 2 starts to mix things up a little bit. They change the spine. For the first 4 or 5 volumes, they actually changed the color of the number, and they actually put Phase 2 down at the bottom as well, but these are all uniform, and it looks like, because I'm looking off to the side, I have all of Phase 2 already. It looks like these volumes are just a little bit thicker to begin with, so these might have a little bit more collected in each one than the corresponding Phase 2 volumes. Kind of go around here to the back as well. You see down here, the Transformers universe is vast and full of ongoing conflict between the Autobots and Decepticons, a war that stretches across the galaxy and throughout time. These data tracks from IDW's timeline of events, recorded for further study, represent the saga as it unfolded. From Cybertron to Earth, this is the story of the Transformers. So kind of a high-level summary there, nothing specific to the contents of the story within, just kind of giving that broad, sweeping narrative. And then you can see at the bottom, it tells you what's collected in this first volume. Here you've got Megatron Origin 1 through 4, Spotlight Blur, Spotlight Cliffjumper, Spotlight Shockwave, Spotlight Nightbeat, Spotlight Hot Rod, Spotlight Soundwave, and Infiltration 0 through 6. So for those of you unfamiliar with how IDW started the Transformers world in their comics, there were a lot of these individual spotlights which really contributed to the world building and giving you one-shot stories of a variety of different characters, and you didn't always see at the moment how those narrative themes and character plot lines and things would weave together, but they do try to pull them together over time, and I appreciate that kind of storytelling. But then you also get this 4-issue origin story from Megatron, and then here, this Infiltration story, that was really kind of the main Transformer story going at the time, where it talked about the Autobots and Decepticons here on Earth. And the way they did this at first, there wasn't an ongoing title at this point. There were a series of little mini-series, like 6-issue mini-series, and then it's later on that they actually started to have an ongoing title. Sorry, had a little bit of a camera issue there. So let's go ahead and open it up now and take a look inside. First thing you'll see is this kind of real, might be hard to see artwork on the inside cover. It's not kind of like a watermark, but it's the Decepticon symbol in this case, because you've got Megatron on the cover, and where you have an Autobot on the cover, you would get the Autobot insignia. And you've got a little representation of that cover art again by E.J. Sue. And then here we have the table of contents showing you all of the stories that are collected in this volume in the recommended reading order. One thing I want to point out here that makes collected editions a little bit different than single issues, for example, is the printing number. You can see down here at the bottom of the page, you got two places where it's indicated. These numbers here, if I look at this lowest number, 13, that tells me this is the 13th printing of this volume. And then it says it again down here in the fine print that IDW Collection Volume 1, September 2020, 13th printing. And what makes this and all collected editions, from my limited experience, really seem a little bit different than single issue collecting is that in these collected editions, the printing number doesn't affect the value at all. Like, there's no one that I've heard of that's just really out there trying to get that first printing of this. It seems to be the same regardless if it's the first printing or the 13th printing in this case. And you know, as I look at each of these volumes that I just got, they're all going to be different printings based on how many times they've had to reprint them based on demand and things like that. But single issues, like many of us probably already know, you know, the printing number can very well affect the value, and oftentimes does. And usually it's the first printing that people want, but you know, there have been trends over time with particular books that a second, third, or even a later printing could command a lot of value. Usually it's because of maybe there's an error, or maybe there's a particular variant cover that has, you know, driven a lot of demand. So single issues, printing number can affect value. These collected editions doesn't seem to really affect it at all. And the other thing I'll say about that, and what makes that really good for a collected edition, these Transformers collected editions are supposed to be evergreen, meaning that they run a printing of it, and then once they sell out, they print more, and then they sell out and they print more. And for a long time, I wasn't able to get, or I didn't start collecting Phase 1 because several of them seemed to be unavailable. And so when I actually started collecting these, I began with Phase 2 because I didn't want to start collecting a phase and be unable to complete it because something is out of print. So I got those and then patiently waited, and sure enough, these did come back into print again. So on cheapgraphicnovels.com, for example, all 8 volumes of Phase 1 are orderable. They will say on their website that they are special order only, which I am guessing means that they don't have stock on hand at their warehouse, so they have to place an order with IDW, and then once those come in stock, then they ship. But nonetheless, it's still available, and that's the key thing there. And so I got all 5 of these in one shot, and then my plan is to order the balance of 3 that I still need in one additional order, and then I'll have all of Phase 1 and all of Phase 2. So just a little note on the printings and kind of how these run. And then it gives you this overall series introduction that we're not going to read right now, and then it dives right into the actual content, again kicking off with that Megatron origin story, 4 issues. And one of the other things I love about the collected editions are the oversized pages. So, you know, I have 2 omnibus editions now for some X-Men stories that I love, and now these Transformers collected editions, and I just love the oversized art in these. Just makes that really great art all the bigger. And so you can flip through here, and it gives, again, Megatron's origin story, and I forget the various spotlights that were highlighted. I did try to stretch this spine out a little bit before I started zooming in on each of these individual issues, but you might still hear a little bit of cracking as we flip through this, so I am trying to be gentle. You've got, with this Infiltration storyline, you do get some significant human interaction. Her name is Verity, I forget her last name. And then there was a guy, this guy, Hunter, I believe you pronounce his name Onion, because it's spelled like onion, but it's got an apostrophe after the O. So I think that allows us to say it Onion, and I think that's a little less teary than pronouncing it onion. So I'm going to go with Hunter Onion on that one. And it gives us, and this other character you see is actually Ratchet's holographic driver, that in this universe they are actually interactive, so he can actually send that holograph out kind of like an avatar to actually interact with the world around him. So you got Run Amok, Runabout in there as well. But the Stunticons. So there's volume 1, but now let's kind of look through the other 4 volumes that we've got as well, and we'll just kind of highlight again some of those differences. All right, here's volume 2, and this one we've got Optimus Prime on the cover, and the side looks the same as volume 1. And then to show you the back, I'm not sure why this says phase 2 begins. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know, because this whole set of 8 is called phase 1, and then the next set of 12 is called phase 2. But I did notice on each of the 5 that I have, the back cover says phase 3 begins, phase 4, phase 5. So don't know, don't have an answer for that one if you're wondering like I am. Phase 2 here collects the Transformers series Stormbringer, and then Escalation. That's kind of that second 6-part story in the kind of the main storyline, and then some of the other spotlights. You've got Six Shot, Ramjet, Ultra Magnus, Cup, Mirage, and Optimus Prime. And then again, got the Autobot symbol on this one here. Your table of contents. See, on this one, this is the 10th printing of this particular volume, so a little bit lower printing than the first one that we had. Some of that Stormbringer. And one of the great things about the IDW universe is that it provided them, well, they've always had this opportunity. Let me say, Dreamwave had it as well, and Marvel too, but IDW has really stepped into the opportunity to explore other characters and to develop them and their backstories and that storyline, and it's been great. I know I think it came out to kind of some mixed reviews that Optimus wasn't front and center and Megatron wasn't front and center in the beginning of this world, and then later on when you get into the phase 2, and one of the titles is More Than Meets the Eye, and it was Rodimus, Ultra Magnus, and a whole other crew, Whirl, and a bunch of others. I really liked the stories that we got without Optimus Prime and Megatron for a while. It's just nice to explore that universe. There's so many characters and so many cool things to explore that if you just keep coming back to the same characters, the same kind of themes, it just gets old. So it's been really good for them to be able to explore forget his name. Menasor? Is that Menasor? Monstructor? Something monstery sounding. But yeah, just to be able to explore these other characters beyond just the main handful that the mainstream audience knows has been great to see. Here's volume 3. We got Galvatron on the cover here. On the back, there's Galvatron with his arm cannon. In this 3rd volume, you've got, this is kind of I don't know, it feels kind of like an anomaly. It's the Transformers New Avengers 4-part miniseries. And I read that and found that to be just okay. I don't feel a need for the Marvel universe and the Transformers universe to be able to coexist. I'm very happy with the Transformers on their own, but that was a miniseries that brought together, Captain America, Wolverine, others in there with the Transformers world. And although I don't really know how or even if that really ties into the rest of the IDW universe, because at this point, they had not merged that Transformers universe together with like G.I. Joe and Mask and ROM and other things. So I haven't read to know if they really expect us to think that exists in the same universe, or if it's just a crossover in a one, you know, a little mini series that's standalone. But that's in here. But then you've got Devastation, the third kind of 6-part mini series telling that main story of Transformers, and then some more spotlights. Got Galvatron, Blaster, RC, Grimlock, and Wheelie. We'll do a little flip through here. Oh, this is only the 8th printing of this one. The printings are getting lower as we go. And you've got some great artists that are working here, great writers. I know Simon Furman was involved early on. And of course, he's well known from going all the way back to the 80s, the beginnings of Transformers. Here's some of that New Avengers Transformers crossover. It's a piece of, I have to clip that off, not sure what that is. Oh, and I haven't talked about this yet. Each of these Transformers collected editions has this little page marker ribbon, which is kind of a nice little touch there. This was a darker story where I forget the human group that had abducted Hunter, and they had Sunstreaker, and they merged him together with Sunstreaker, but he went through some rough stuff. I don't know if he ultimately dies later. I actually don't remember what the final fate, if there is a final fate, of the and some of the human companion characters that were introduced here early on. But Wheelie's little one shot. All right, 2 more to go. Here's volume 4, and this is Grimlock. I actually didn't recognize him at first. I don't know, it just didn't jump out to me that was Grimlock's face. Maybe I've just seen him too much more frequently in his alt mode than in his robot mode. But he has a very cool robot mode. I actually appreciate when the comic gives him more time to spend as a robot. And another thing that they did kind of later on with his design, I don't know who changed it, but on his faceplate here, they actually incorporated fangs or teeth, like locked together in his robot mode, so that makes it much more standoutish. But I did not, right away recognize him. But then you flip it over, and you can see his arm there, and he's got his characteristic sword. So again, you can see Phase 4 begins. Don't know what they mean by Phase 4. In this volume, you've got the 5-part series Maximum Dinobots, and then you've got a 4-part Drift story, and then some more spotlights: Cyclonus, Hardhead, Double Dealer, Sideswipe, Drift, Metroplex, and Jazz. So again, great exploration of all these different characters. And there was no kind of main story miniseries for this one. Eventually it'll get into All Hell Megatron, and then it's after that really the first IDW ongoing Transformer series picks up. But that gets beyond the 5 volumes that I just picked up. Like Double Dealer. When did we ever get a one-shot story focusing on him? Such a rich world of characters and stories to explore. Of course, you do have some of the classic fan favorites. Insecticons. There's that ribbon again. Drift. Perceptor. I love the portrayal of Perceptor as part of the Wreckers and being a sniper. Okay. And 1 more to go. Here is volume 5, the last one for today, but not the last one in the phase. Still 3 more volumes for me to go. And you've got Starscream on the cover here. And on the back cover, you got his arm. And in this volume, we've got all 12 issues of the All Hail Megatron storyline, plus the 4 Coda issues that followed. And this was a pretty significant storyline for Transformers. You know, the Decepticons came in and they just destroyed the city, Earth, and really a lot of devastation going on. It allowed them to do more than they were ever able to do, like in the cartoons. The humans fighting back. Spike does show up in here through this series as well. Rat-Bat. Mirage and Ironhide. So this was a great storyline. Glad to have this one finally now collected as well. This was kind of a turning point in this series. This style here, I think this was Don Figueroa was the artist, maybe. At least his character designs. When they kicked off the Transformers ongoing, these faces were much more human-like, or this blending of robot and human. And I think, if I remember reading correctly, this was influenced by the live-action movies done by Michael Bay. And I'll just put my opinion out there, not my favorites. I really liked that first movie. The first Transformers live action, I really liked the first time I saw it. I think it was brand new. Here we are seeing this amazing franchise on the big screen, live action for the first time. And that was incredible. I was on the edge of my seat the entire time. And then after that was about it. The movies just kind of went down, not really heavy on plot. You've heard me say so many times just in this video how many characters and the storylines and it's such a rich, you know, field to play in with all these characters, and the movies were just such a disappointment. Were very two-dimensional and really did not live up to, at least not my expectations. But yeah, but I think that was a connection to the live-action movies, why Don Figueroa's character designs took on that kind of a look, and that's where they started when they did the ongoing series, which picks up after this. But fortunately they changed and went back to more kind of traditional look for them. And that wraps up issue 5. What I do want to share as well is one last thing on the price. So if you are someone who is in the market for collected editions, you'll see that obviously these carry a much heftier price tag than a single issue. Most single issues today are like $3.99 a piece. This is $59.99 US is cover price. And, you know, if you're talking, this would be true, I guess, of, you know, omnibus collections as well, where they can run up to like $125 for some of the Marvel ones. And that's pretty spendy. And I don't know, you know, everyone's got a different budget, but I do not have a budget that just lets me spend endless amounts of money on comic books. And you know from watching a lot of my haul videos that my sweet spot for single issues is the $1, $2 range, or 50 cents when I can find them. But these collected editions, I just want to encourage you, if you are considering getting into these, don't run out and start paying cover price. Do some exploration, do some reading, because most places you can buy these today, you can get them for less than cover. So cheapgraphicnovels.com, again, that's where I bought these and where I've bought my other collected editions for Transformers. Cover price has been between $50 and $60 a piece, but I usually see them discounting about 35 or 40% off cover price, and that makes it, you know, much more reasonable. So do not, if you can avoid it, pay cover price. When something's out of print and you really, really want it, from what I've heard, that's where it becomes a lot harder to find things cheap, and you might even find yourself paying even more than cover price because it's not in print and it's not available. But when they're in print, there are websites like this one, cheapgraphicnovels.com. In Stock Trades is another that I've seen. I haven't used them, but I think they're an arm of DCBS. And then, of course, you can pre-order things through services like DCBS and others, where, again, you could get those at a certain percentage off cover price. So it's definitely worth it when you're spending more dollars on things like this to do your research and find a source where you can get those, as inexpensively as possible. And, there's always places like half-price books or sales at local comic shops and things like that. So again, there's a number of different ways. So do your due diligence and your research to find these, and you should be able to get them at a better price than what it says on cover.
All right, that's going to do it for me, and that's going to wrap up this unboxing of 5 IDW Collection Transformers hardcovers. Do you collect any of these? Do you have any of them in your collection today? Are you working on them? Let me know your thoughts about Transformers, Transformers comics, collected editions, any of that good stuff down below. Now, if you're not quite ready for the YouTube fun to stop, I have hand-selected a couple videos here for you to check out. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.